says, can you tell us where the forests of gopher wood grew that was used for the ark, and where did Noah and his family find the resources to gather and work it in those days? No, I can't. I can't even tell you what gopher wood is. And, I mean, there's a lot of speculations and guesses, but that's pretty much all that you can do is guess. All right, again, the names for types of trees, things like that, you know, geography, places, things like that, that changes throughout history. All right? So where did he get it? Obviously, gopher wood was a strong material. And, you know, I mean, it was able to withstand and all that stuff, and it was good for building. So apparently, and it was apparently close enough to him to be able to build this ship, and in plenty enough for, you know, plenty enough for them to build something that was pretty much almost 3 football fields long. You know, I think roughly about 500 feet or something like that. I can't remember. All right. No. I can't think of how long it is. It goes by cubits, and there's, you know, cubit is from here to there. All right. But anyways. All right. But I can't tell you that, and no one really can, because that would be like me telling an Aborigine that I built something out of, you know, oak, and they've never even heard of the word oak. Do they have a right to disbelieve me? No. Not really, because I used the tree that was right by them that they call, you know, something completely different, you know? All right, so just because that I can't point you in the direction of where he got it and how he found the resources to gather it and work in those days, I mean, doesn't make it any less true, you know? All right, and also as for how he got to work it and everything like that and built this ship, this ark, come on. I mean, people are able to do that, you know? I mean, if you look at after the ark and all that stuff, pretty soon, I think only somewhere between less than 10 generations, you know, less than 10 children down the line, they went ahead and started building the Tower of Babel, which was a huge monumental thing. I mean, people back then knew how to have, you know, build architectural things, you know, and building a boat. I mean, an ark, come on. God wouldn't have told him to build something that he didn't know what in the world it was. A boat. What's that? I mean, there's a slim chance that he did, and he gave him a ton of more information that's not recorded about how to do it and all that stuff, but, you know, chances are pretty high that he knew how to build a boat. Okay. Took him a long time to do it, though. All right. It says, what did all the animals live on for 40 days and 40 nights? Did they take extras and slaughter them as they went? No, they didn't take extra animals and slaughter them for food or anything like that as they went, because everyone was a vegetarian back then. All right, look at this. This is something that few people realize, even Christians, you know. Let's see, where is it? All right. Okay, well, first of all, let's look at the animals that he did take, that God told Noah to take. It says, come thou and all thy house into the ark, for thee have I seen righteous before me in this generation. Of every clean beast thou shalt take to thee by sevens, the male and his female, and of the beasts that are not clean by 2, the male and his female. Of the fowls also of the air by 7, the male and his female, to keep seed alive upon the face of the earth. All right, so took 7 of the animals, you know, 7 of each animal, of the clean animals, which were animals that were considered clean for sacrifices, you know, just like the Jews and everything like that, and the law of Moses was talking about, you know, it gets into the details in Leviticus, I believe. Exodus, Leviticus, and all that. All right? But of those that were unclean, just normal animals and everything like that, he took by two, male and female. All right, so that's all the animals that he took. All right. So they went ahead and went in there, and let's look at whenever they exited. It says, "Bring forth with thee every living thing that is with thee, of all the flesh, both of the fowl and of cattle, and of every creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth, that it may breed abundantly in the earth, and be fruitful, and multiply upon the earth. And Noah went forth, and his sons, and his wife, and his sons' wives with them, every beast, every creeping thing, every fowl, and whatsoever creepeth upon the earth, after their kinds, went forth out of the ark." All right, and then he built an altar and everything like that. Sorry, I'm thinking my throat's getting a little dry. All right, let's see. Continuing on, in Genesis chapter 9, it says in verse 3, "Every moving thing that liveth shall be meat for you. Even as the green herb have I given you all these things." All right? "But the flesh with the life thereof, which is the blood thereof, shall you not eat." In other words, sorry, again, I'm flubbing up here. He says, "You know what, Noah? I told you in the past that, I commanded all things that you can eat freely of the trees and everything, fruits, vegetables, things like that. Now, I'm allowing y'all to eat meat, So before before Noah's Ark, before all this count and everything like that, everybody was a vegetarian. So what did they have for food on the Ark? Plants, vegetables, fruit, things like that. All right? Now, it doesn't specify in here that Noah took all this fruit and vegetables and plants and everything like that for food, because, it's kind of obvious. Again, that would be like me saying, asking or wondering if the people in the Bible ever got dressed in the morning, or thinking that they walked around naked, because it doesn't specifically say that they got dressed in the mornings. It's obvious. All right? Only those who are trying to, are being honestly foolish and trying to discredit things, would try such a foolish thing. Try to read stuff into it like that. Excuse me just a second. All right. So, continuing on, what did they have? They went ahead and had the plants and everything. Okay. And it wouldn't surprise me if they brought plants and had them growing on the ark as well, to have a steady supply. Renewable food. Isn't that nice? The idea. Wow. You mean it doesn't have to come from a factory? I'm joking. All right. Anyways, what arrangements for their housing do you think would be available, and that would separate them, their food, their water, and everything for their survival into the future? They built the thing. They had it separated. There were rooms, stalls for the animals, different things like that. What arrangements? I really can't go into detail. Well, I believe that they all lived in an 8x8 cell. The bigger animals lived by a 20x20, things like that. No. They just had rooms, stalls, things like that, just like a regular ship does. Ships have galleys, closets, things like that, to store their stuff. If you look at the dimensions of the ark, it was actually a lot bigger than what it was needed. There was plenty of room on the ark for a lot of stuff, including the animals and their food and all that stuff. It's 3 stories high, I believe. Remember? I can't find it right now. And plus, this is the 3rd video and I'm running out of time here, But anyways, they had houses, separate. They just made different stalls and everything, just like a regular boat would be. All right? These were not Neanderthal people who, I use that term, not actually saying that there were Neanderthals and all that stuff. But these were not stupid people. All right? They knew how to build stuff. They had houses back then. They didn't live naked, swinging from trees and all that stuff, you know? I mean, like a lot of people think of the people from Africa. Come on now. They're people. Just because they lived thousands of years ago and all this took place, I mean, come on. People don't argue that the Egyptians were stupid people because they built the pyramids, by chance or something like that. Unless you believe the aliens did it. I'm not going to get into that, okay? Alright. Let's see. After 40 days and 40 nights of flood waters, there would only be dead, rotten vegetation. And so, did they take extra food for animals to eat after the water subsided? Or did they eat the moldy, rotten vegetation? Well, I already covered that by the time they left the ark, there was vegetation growing on the earth. All right, it did not happen in 40 days and 40 nights. It wasn't, whoosh, day 1, water covering the entire earth. Day 41, whoosh, no water. And rotten, moldy vegetables, the stink of flesh and all that stuff of the dead creatures, no. They were on the ark for over a year. All right? And the water subsided less than a year. The water, let's see. The tops of the mountains were first showed up in the 10th month, And the waters were dried from the earth after the first, day of the first month. First year, First day of the first month of the first year. All right? But they didn't leave until, it was the second month. Almost the third month of the year. Okay? All right. What happened to all the freshwater creatures that cannot survive salt conditions and things like coral that cannot tolerate fresh water? That one is actually a decent question. I kind of like that one. All right. Well, the things that did not survive did not survive. All right. But the oceans, who in the world is to say that the oceans were as salty back then as they are now? We know that the earth is getting saltier and saltier as time goes on. And technically it's not really salt, but we just use that term anyways. So, if you are the type of person who, I think they call it universalism or something like that, you believe that everything has continued the way that it has, nothing changed, no big catastrophes that stopped it, then back then the seas and everything like that were not very salty at all. All right, so creatures were used to that. All right, and who's to say that the water that was came up from the ground and rained down were salty, or salt water? Rain isn't salt water. Geysers aren't necessarily salt water, are they? As for the things that needed fresh water, a lot of them died. Some of them did not. Look at all the fossils that are around in the ground and everything like that. That's proof that there was a catastrophic event which killed millions of creatures. All right? There's no arguing that. That was the flood. All right? And the rock layers prove that too, but that's another thing for another video or whatever, But anyways, a lot of them died. Doesn't mean that all of them died, just a lot of them died. Coral that needed salt and everything like that, if the water was too fresh for them, they died off. But if it was within their realm of tolerance, then they survived. Quite easy, Not too difficult to imagine. Sheesh. Just because it's slightly less salty or slightly saltier doesn't mean that they're going to all die either, some coral was hidden in a cave, an underwater cave, and everything like that, and the water stayed fairly, the same consistency that it was. All right, things like that. But anyways, that's actually the end of it right there. Okay, and it's a good thing because I'm out of time.